are you turning every no into yeses? We're seeing that 97% of investors are passing opportunities because there are missing elements. And since 2020, there is a reduction in funding across the board, especially in digital health, 57%. Now, how can you connect with the investor to share with them the key points that they want to hear so you can close that deal? Today, we are continuing our discussion with Kat, a sales experts who are sharing with you the 5 personalities that you have to be able to communicate with every investor, strategic partner, and client. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. And just yesterday, I usually ignore all the pitch emails, especially they're like thinking that we are a hospital or a clinic. I'm like, just because I have a clinician and I have a degree doesn't mean our business is a hospital.
Clearly, you took no more than 2 seconds to look at my profile or my website. And so if you're not going to put effort into it, like, don't waste my time, right?
Right, exactly. So I have to be like, well, most of people would see that and mark you as spam. And now your email going to tagged by Google as spam. And you're not really going to have a working email anymore if you keep doing that. But most people probably not even going to say that to you. And then I even have people who are boom, boom, one email after another, very aggressive, no deliverable, right? It means like they kind of like, oh, meet this person, that person. I'm like, what's the relevancy? Don't even answer it and just bring in the next person. And it's like, oh, we do this, we do that. I'm like, but why are you contacting me, right? Clearly, you still haven't spent the time to look into what we do, not even company level. Let's just say personal level. You can check out someone's LinkedIn to have a 2-minute glance instead of like follow up. So all those boring follow-up is actually turning people off. So going back to that, so in terms of clearly people didn't know my buyer persona, right? Or even what I'm doing. So Kat, quickly help us to list out those 5 persona again.
Absolutely. So there's 5 main ones. And at the end of the day, it really goes through kind of a, one of those graphs. So on one graph, there's connection and on one axis, and on the other axis, there's logic. So if we look at the person who, and connection, what I mean is they need to feel connected to you, right? So the first one that we look at is the producer. So this person is very logic driven, right? So they want a bunch of information. They need to know exactly what's going on. They want detail and they want data, right? So what they're really motivated by is getting that information. And from that, they are going to make a decision. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't want some connection, but they're not really focused on how much they like you. That can sway between 2 people that look very similar in terms of making an investment, right? And so I'm looking at it from the VC perspective of, and not all VCs are only just producer kind of people, right? So yes, all of them want data, but they don't always make their entire decision based off of that. And so if you only ever do that, then yeah, you're only going to get a certain kind of VC investor. So what you really want to make sure you're doing is providing them enough information, data, and even case studies so that they can make that decision. They need to see how you're going to be able to leverage the investment, right? So, and how you've been able to create success in the past and what their investment is going to do and how it's going to multiply, right? So they want to see the facts, the figures, the budget, the projections, all those good things. They want that big, thick packet, right? The next level is the director. So I align these to kind of movie themes because I love movies, but a director is a little bit more purpose driven, right? So it's a little bit less on information, not a bunch less. So these kind of like transition a little bit, right? So as we're going through these, it's less about data and more about connection. So the director still wants to be connected. And if you think about a director, they're more about the vision, right? And that's more emotional than just what's on the piece of paper, right? So a producer, right, is generating the revenue for the movie and all that other stuff. The director has the vision in mind, and they're keeping that close to their heart in terms of making decisions. They're still very results oriented. They're very decisive, but they prefer efficiency, right? And so if you're telling me this is going to cost more, but it'll be more efficient, they're in alignment with that. A producer, they just want to see the bottom line number, right? So you want to make sure that you're showing them how everything fits together. So that process flow, that hierarchy, what is the plan? How are you going to get the ROI? Right. So again, the producer wants to see some of that too, but it's where are they going to put the value of the information and how much are they going to go right to that in terms of the summary. So what are they looking for first? Because that's where they're going to have that innate reaction and make a big decision. So then we go to the star, right? We're thinking movie star kind of thing. So if you think about them, they're very interactive. They're very social. They want to be connected. They want to be the popular people. And you're probably going to recognize yourself in some of these, right? So they are very engaged and interactive. So this is where firework experience is really important, right? These are people who are often on stage. They're interactive. They're very engaging, very dynamic. If you've ever felt drawn to them afterwards to be like, oh my God, like that was such an amazing speech, you're probably talking to someone who's a star. And so basically you want to make sure that you're leveraging a firework experience. So you really got to think about, when it comes to VC funding, how are you engaging with this person? Right? Are you helping them have a good experience of what it would be to look and interact with you as a CEO? Or are you just kind of hiding behind the scenes? And is that the kind of CEO they want for the kind of business they want to invest in? Right? So it's really important to make sure you're sharing social proof and that you're showing them who you're connected to and how you're going to be able to expand and leverage that network. That's what they want to see if they're a star, right? They want to see how they can get more than just what's in the business. They're looking at you as more of a person, right? So the next one is now we're getting really to the heart of it. This is the kind of people that take like 5, maybe 6 sales calls sometimes. So this is the VC that's going to have lots and lots of conversations. They want to know all about you, who you are, how many kids you have, what do you do in your spare time, how many degrees do you hold, all the things. And they're really looking for that personal service, right? That attention. They want to see that you're really a part of this business and you're not just really disconnected, right? They want to see around the community that you've built, the kind of relationships you have, and they're really leaning in on, do they trust you? Are you going to show up the way that, that you are and all that good stuff? So you want to make sure that you're implementing rapport, right? And really creating that ability for accessibility, building that trust. Do you have those connections? Do you have the right people in the right places? Is there a good culture? Is there great interaction? Or is it toxic? Now, there are plenty of investors who have no problem investing in toxic cultures, right? Amazon. So, I'm just saying, right? Or no, yeah. And Apple, right? So those are the kind of, there are plenty of investors. Hell, there's even people like us who are crew members who will invest in a toxic culture because we know that it's going to produce a result. But you just want to know what kind of person you want investing in your business because they're also going to show up and support you in that way too. So if you get a producer, then they're not going to care that your kid was sick. They're not going to care that you broke your arm. They're not going to care that you've been working 92 hours this week. Right? But someone who's in crew, they may be more concerned around the longevity of you as a CEO. And if you are burning yourself out, then you're not going to be able to sustain this business long term. It has a direct effect on the same logical outcome, but it's their approach to the relationship of who you are and how you're showing up in the business too. Now, there is a 5th category, and I put this one in there because sometimes this happens, and it's the stunt double. This is where you kind of have no freaking clue who this person is, how they show up. Maybe they're a little schizophrenic. One day they're one way, one day they're another, but you might not be able to really pinpoint, or maybe they're a little bit of a mix. They could be like 40-60, right? And you just can't really quite tell. And the beauty of everything that I do is all of the buyer types are addressed as your strategic approach. So you want to have certain components in place. And so one of the things with a stunt double though is they do value originality. they are very individualistic. So it's kind of like the star, but like very ego-y, right? They can be influenced by trends, right? And so there's a lot of like younger people, if you will, right, that are in this category. So they can be driven more so by emotional triggers and how something makes them feel. So one day they might be a little bit more logic driven. And so if something doesn't sound or seem or feel right, then they can't connect to the logic. And so they're not going to get behind what it is that you have. One of the things that you can help with getting them to make that decision of helping that person invest in your business is creating natural and ethical urgency, right? And so what you want to do is highlight the immediate benefits and easy wins and the unique features that you have as part of your business and positioning that helps them see how you will leapfrog your competition. So those are the different buyer types and kind of what it is that they're valuing, how it is that you want to kind of motivate them, and essentially how to sell to them so that they want to get behind what it is that you're offering.
Exactly. It's that really understand. I feel like number one, what is your own buyer persona? And
Right.
so then oh, I can identify those people really fast, right? And then learning about all these other personas out there to say, how do I create materials, activities, experience that are able to capture all of them in some capacity? So that means because we have automation, we have emails, we can tweak the email to match that one persona, that one perception of a people, right? So we can really leverage multiple tools to say, yes, it might be getting really complicated. There's all different type of people who see and make decisions. But if we are able to approach from different angle, the way that we perceive things, we write things, we send that text message, we have videos, we have shorter ones, we have longer ones, capture people who are even like different learning styles, right? And as Kat saying, if you're a natural thing like myself and Kat, we like to podcast, right? We love to speak with other people. We love to have small group of people that network and then see how people are connected. It gave us joy. That's what we're going to do more and more. Mm-hmm. But what we, perhaps even myself, don't want to get stuck in the inbox. Even people are reaching out to me. Some are great. Some you just have to figure out if they're actually even decision maker. Will it be even good for me to have a conversation? So if I don't like that, then I want someone who's like, don't care to be in the spotlight, to be out there, but they do want to build those relationships behind the scene, right? So how to do that is really learning about yourself, learning about the people on your team, figuring out your own skill set, ability, and then start creating variety of things and not everything, right? Kat said there's 23, right? Yeah. And we spit out a few different things, but you don't want to get overwhelmed to say, oh my gosh, we're going to adopt like 5 out of the 23, right? That's not.
No, it's like 2 or 3 and you create an ecosystem, right? And within those, it's just this interactive modality. So I have something called the Conversion Bullseye. And what it is it's at the middle are your clients. These are the people that are saying yes. On the outside, which means the holes on the wall, because if you don't have really good aim like me, a lot of times when you're throwing a dart, it's going to end up on the wall and bouncing off and on the floor, right? So what we want to make sure is that aim, right, is getting consistent on getting to the bullseye. Our whole approach with our marketing is to get people off the wall onto the bullseye, onto the target, if you will. And I'm not really like a fan of like target because it's super aggressive, but it's the best analogy I've been able to come up with so far. And it's about moving them into the circles, into the next round, right? And so if we look at the first one, is all about connection. So just connecting with someone on LinkedIn. And that's the thing is that it's easier to hit the outer rim one when you're just showing because there's more space for you to hit it. But as you go into the bullseye and go down the target, it becomes harder and harder to target that specific area, if you will. And so the next level is all about the conversation. Now, this is where people get triggered. It's how do we go from talking about the weather, right? Something super superficial to whether we should work together. That whether to whether turn of the conversation has everything to do with what you're putting out there in terms of your marketing. Are you allowing someone to make a decision? Is what you're putting out there solving a problem that's making someone a better buyer? And it's the same thing with VCs. What is it that you're providing them that shows them that you're the right investment to be making compared to the 30 million other people who do exactly what you do? because this is still a sales process. Hiring someone is a sales process. When you are interviewing for a position, it's a sales process. Everything that we're doing is a sales process. And so you really need to know who's on the other side of that conversation, because it is a back and forth. So if you're not willing to have a conversation, you're never going to get to the most important part, which is the sales conversation, right? So afterwards, when we go to that next level, so it's connect, converse, and then close, that's when we want to make sure that we've provided all the details. It is an experience. You don't necessarily want to provide the investment amount, what you're going to get in terms of stock right off the bat. You want to have a couple of interactions before that happens. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't happen fast. You could have, and I've seen it, met someone, have a VC and invest 2 weeks later. And it could also take you 2 years. But are the conversations that you're having on a regular basis with those two groups? Because if it's not, then you're leaving opportunity on the table. And so it's really looking at who's in the pipeline. Do you know their name and their face? Or are you constantly having conversations with people around, hey, I've been following you for ages and I'm ready to talk to you now? That's great. Also, that sucks, because I would rather know the name and the face of the person so that I can purposefully and strategically interact with them, give them an experience so that they can make that decision faster. And then I know how to focus on them if that decision is no. It's okay if it's no, then that means that there's something I can do. I can turn a no into a yes, right? That's what most of us have done in our businesses. If you think about it, people say no to us all the time. Actually, 97% of the time, people are saying no. Someone reads a piece of your content, they didn't invest with you. That's a no. Someone came to a workshop, didn't invest with you. That's a no. It's not a no forever, but if you're not putting systems and processes to help continue to encourage, engage, interact, and nurture that person to the close, then you're not serious about business. It is about putting structure, process, systems, and repeatability in your business so that you can achieve your goals, whether that's in a VC investment, angel investors, clients, or even getting the next opportunity from podcasting to speaking on a stage.
Exactly. It's all those creative ways that we can create connection, right? As Kat said, like wherever that is, you B2B business, probably you're going to be on LinkedIn a lot. If you are not so ready for big publicity, stop doing podcasting, right? Like you're going to get your message very confused and you don't have a clear call to action. So knowing where you are and doing the best way. And then it's like, what's the next step? What's the next step that you can have a more of an authentic conversation back and forth, and knowing different buyer persona, maybe giving them more time, maybe follow up a little bit. Don't follow up too much for those fast decision makers. Then you're gonna like really bother them, right? They're like, why are you like bombarding me?
Right.
And then for the people that you're at the stage to really convert, then you have to have the right resource together. So that's why even for us, we build capital readiness scorecard. It's a dashboard across 12 domains of your business. You have a score of your perception. Fundamentally, are you there? And our evaluation of SWOT analysis where you are, right? Very quickly, it's not just are you prepared? It's also give you the roadmap on what to do so you don't burn the cash. So the VCs will actually trust you. Just like what Kat is saying, it's not just getting the funding and chasing one after another. Oh, how much more funding do I need? Right? It's a strategic way of showing them that we have what we need to do what we promise we can deliver, so you can get the buy-in. And sometimes we minimize how much work it needed to be, and we just kind of throwing things out there like it's a numbers game. But it's not a numbers game. It's a human relationship, strategic building.
Amen. Like high ticket sales, which is all VC, right? Like they're not investing $100, right? There's commas, there's zeros in the investments that they're making. So whether you're trying to close a high ticket client or you're closing a VC, at the end of the day, all of this happens through relationships. Referrals are fantastic. But like I said it before, only 3% of people are ready to buy right now. That means that even in the VC world, only 3% of VCs right now are ready to invest. That means that you need to convince 90, and even in the 97, 7% are getting ready to be in the 3. 60% are getting ready to be in the 7 to get to the 3. So that means that out of all of the population, you only have a 70% chance of closing. So what do you do with the other 30? Now, most bro marketers are going to say, get rid of them, get them off, get them out of your life. No. How many of us have referred people that we've never worked with? So this VC, it's not my thing. Maybe I'm not a tech VC and you're a tech company. It's just not an alignment. It's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that as a tech VC, doesn't mean that I don't know a product VC, right? Or that I might not know an angel investor that actually is looking to expand their portfolio right now. But if you don't manage that relationship, and if you just treat people like credit card transactions, then you're just making things so much harder. It's not about the now. It's the long-term relationship. And so if you don't play the long-term game, you're never going to give yourself opportunity for short-term success either.
Right. And I think that plays in the masculine and feminine energy, right? So when we talk about, yes, women get less funding, but what have we do to not just be verbal about the problem, but actually do something positive to show up in a different way to get to that point, right? So women are better at building relationship and seeing and more calculated decision. So there are even the Kaufman Foundation showed technology companies owned by women generate 35% higher return on investment, right? So then you question like, why are we not getting enough funding? But instead of saying that way, can we flip a switch to say, how can we get more funding? What am I already doing that so well? What do I have to pivot? What do I have to double, triple, quadruple on so I'm not scattered? So I can get to the right people, the right ventures, the right angels, the right people who truly believe in you to open up their network and their support group. And then you can all work collaborative together for this mission. Because at the end of the day, investors also have to believe in you as an individual, your companies, your ability to expand, and your ability to execute and having the foundation to do that. And so bring back to Kat's very first point is make sure you document everything, because if we start doing our due diligence, we're start going to ask all those, right? If you're not really together, you're not ready for that higher level of funding. But nevertheless, we can talk about this, and this is definitely 2 episodes. And so I'm so excited for Kat being here, and excited for all of you guys to really think a big picture. Whether you just started not too long getting fundings or bootstrapping, and be very clear on who you are, what you love to do, who are the people on your team that can balance off in different ways to have the right sales strategy in place that's measurable, doable, repeatable. And then thinking about, okay, where are we going from there, right? And when you guys are much more established, awesome. You have those people. Probably you have a CMO, right? And then you also have a sales director. How are they working hand in hand? And it's not just a marketing problem or sales problem. It's actually a whole system of customer journey problem. So being able to not just say, oh, I have a team to do that. But if you have no idea what they're actually doing, how they're creating the experience that you even prove, then you're not truly standing behind your brand. You're just too offhanded and detached to the mission that you're creating. So there's a lot of things to come out, but we would love for you guys to think about these and then tell us, whichever you're listening and watching this, comment and let us know, whether it's on LinkedIn or on the platform that you're listening. Which one is your buyer persona? Can you identify that? And then how are you trying to figure out your own firework experience, or go directly to Kat to have that workshop with her so she can help you to put on the right path much quicker. So we appreciate you, Kat, and appreciate everyone for staying on.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.